Awesome. Sorry, that was a bit of a brain fart moment. Good morning, everyone. At least if you're here in Oz. Pretty much, we're at the tail end now of the marathon. So thanks, Nate. Thanks to the GL. So I'll be one of the last few acts to close everything out. You definitely want to check out the run after me as well. Peking does some crazy things with the DDR machine. But yeah, so welcome everyone. My name is MikamiHero, and you may have caught me yesterday doing another Ocarina of Time speedrun. I'll be doing a different category today called Reverse Dungeon Order. So it's going to be even more whack than what I did yesterday. Hopefully nothing screws up and I have to mercy kill the run, but you know, let's just pray. All right, so got the file name ready. All right, I'll count us down. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so reverse dungeon order, hey? This is definitely one of the more crazier runs of Ocarina of Time. It's not one that's run often, but I really took a liking to it because it's, again, a restriction category. We have to complete the game in reverse order. So the order of the dungeons we'll be doing: Spirit Temple, Shadow Temple, Water Temple, Fire Temple, Forest Temple, Jabu's Belly, Dodongo's Cavern, Deku Tree, and then Ganondorf and Ganon, in that order. So a couple of restrictions. Right off the bat, we can't step foot in a dungeon until it's its assigned order. So I can't just pop into Shadow Temple, for example, get hover boots and then duck out. So that makes things quite challenging right off the bat, because you immediately have not as many items as you would at that certain point. So we have to be a little bit creative with how we do certain tricks and certain glitches. It's also one of those weird categories where it gets less scary as the run goes on, because as the run goes further on, you start getting more of your items back, and then pretty much by endgame it's not as scary because you have everything you need and it's just a fun bit of touch up. Yeah, that's one of the fun things about this category. For some other restrictions, we can't do any form of item manipulation. So, for example, if I wanted to get myself more bomb chews, I would have to find a chest that had bomb chews or buy bomb chews, which again adds a lot of complexity to this run, and it actually makes it a lot more scary. But I'm of the mindset of what's life without a bit of challenge. So you know what, these challenge runs are always really, really exciting. So I hope you guys enjoy as well. If you have any questions in chat, feel free to throw them at me. Yeah. So the beginning of the run is pretty stock standard, like most of the other categories you may have seen being run in the past, either by myself or someone else. We got to get the Kakiri sword and then duck out of the forest. So if you caught my run yesterday, it's pretty much almost the exact same start, except I don't have to get Zelda's Lullaby in this run. This run actually has minimal number of cutscenes. The only cutscene we watch is when we transition from child to adult, and then that's pretty much it. In this one, we're actually allowed to do cutscene skips and wrong warps and all that fun stuff. So, you know, fingers crossed I can pull off all of them, because you'll get to see some pretty crazy stuff happening. Do you think aliens are out there? Well, I mean, you know, Fox believed that they were. And you know, his sister was abducted in the X-Files, so I have to go off his word, right, Kappa? Alright, so like I said, this beginning of the run is pretty like cookie cutter for a lot of the runs. Gotta go through this maze to get Kakiri sword. I mentioned this yesterday, but obviously, you know, not everyone can catch every single run, so I'll mention it again. The movement that we do in Ocarina of Time, you'll see it predominantly be back walking, side hopping, and rolling. That's because just walking forward normally is the slowest way of movement. So depending on where I have to go and what the direction is, you'll see me just do a combination of rolls and back walks. If the direction's a straight line and it requires like 4 or more rolls to do, it's better just to turn around and backwalk. If the place I have to get to is a bit more curved, then you'll see me roll a bit more and kind of retarget to adjust my camera. So here I'm just doing some movement to get rupees hidden in signs and bushes. So that's one of the first tricks we do in this run, called bridge clip. At a very specific point in the air, I'll jump slash, and jump slashing puts Link's character model just ever so slightly higher that he props on top of the bridge, and we obtain that rupee. So now that we have 40 rupees, we bought the Deku Shield, and we are gonna skedaddle out of forest. Actually, I try to do something that I normally do in a run, but I didn't pull it off yesterday, and I was hoping to pull it off today, but I didn't get a specific type of slash there, so that's okay. We still have other ways to get past this guy blocking the door. So let's see. Cool. Nope. Almost got past him. Come on, mate. Let me through. Thank you. Cool. And now we're out of forest early. So what I did there was I got something called Infinite Sword Glitch, or ISG, as I'll say it throughout the run. And that just means that your weapon is active for every possible frame that it's out. But some other weird byproducts of ISG are, you know, if it kind of forces character models, if they're occupying the same space, to kind of get pushed in really weird ways. I think that's the magic behind it. And so as a result, I got pushed past that guy that's blocking the door and just roll past him, and we'll leave forest early. So the next stop is Kakariko, and I'll be doing some stuff there, but until then, if there's any donations, or someone wants to, if there's any announcements they want to make, feel free to do it now.
We don't have anything right now, but I'm wondering how far we can get by the end of the event, whether 6,500 is in sight or maybe even 7k. So please get your donations coming in for the Royal Flying Doctor Service.
Awesome, thanks, Charlotte. Yeah, like it's a great thing that we're raising money for. Like, I think all the charities and non-profit orgs that we support throughout the years have been great. So if you can get on it, guys, please do. All right, so skedaddle past the forest early, and yeah, being able to escape the forest early is a big, what we call sequence break in speedrunning, where we kind of, you know, break the sequence of events and do things out of order. Otherwise, we would be forced to complete the Deku Tree, which in a way is kind of against the sort of the idea of this category, you know? So if I couldn't even escape the forest early, something like this category wouldn't even exist, because I wouldn't be able to complete all the dungeons in their reverse order, or you'd have to like make some tweaks, but you know, we have ways around it. And this is pretty much how new categories and speedruns come about, you know? When new tricks get found or new ways of doing things get found, people go, I wonder if we can play the game like this now. And it's not just with Ocarina of Time, it happens with pretty much any game out there. When something new gets found, it kind of sparks more creativity in people, and they find new and interesting ways of completing the game. And I think that's a blessing with Ocarina of Time. We have actually a lot of categories that a runner can pick up, so I think that's what makes our community really, really awesome as well. There's like so many categories to run, people have their own preferences, and something for everyone, really, to be honest. So in that sense, we're quite blessed. Alright, so now that we're inside Kakariko, I am going to collect these cuccos to get a bottle. The bottle is like one of the most broken items in this game, and out of the 4 bottles we can get, this is the only bottle. Well, this is the bottle that requires the least number of requirements. So there's the cucco bottle, there's the bottle you get from Talon at Lun Lun Ranch after you wake him up. There's the bottle that you get from Lake Hylia that has Rudo's letter, and then there's obviously the bottle you get from collecting all 10 big pose. So if you remember this game from a casual playthrough as a kid. So this is easily the bottle that is the most accessible early on. It does require us to collect these cuccos, and their movement can be somewhat random. Like, their starting position is roughly the same, but as soon as Kakariko, like, loads, their movements can be just a little bit all over the place. But we do have some control over where these cuccos move. So, for example, as soon as I pick one up and then I drop it, it will kind of like bounce in the same spot up and down for a little bit, and then it will always run in the opposite direction of Link. So kind of like that, where I'm slashing that guy to aggro him, and he's moving away from me, and I've lined it up in a way that they're as close to the pen as possible. This one wasn't that good, but, you know, they were kind of within proximity. And now Andrew gives us the bottle. Okay, so now that we have the bottle, I am going to go down into the bottom of the well now. Normally you would need Song of Storms to drain it, but we're going to be doing something called a Navi Dive. So in this thing, Link is kind of in a busy state, and when he's in a busy state, like, NPCs can't interact with him, and weird things happen with collision as well, where it doesn't properly detect that, like, you know, Link is in water or something like that. So it allows us to duck in real early. So we grab that stick. That damage that I took there wasn't intentional. Well, it's intentional for one other category that I run, but I kind of just brain farted there for a bit and did some old muscle memory. Okay, so we got something called inverted camera here. Ooh, okay, should be fine. Hang on. Ah, there we go. Okay, cool. So there's a lot happening here. I will explain it in just a moment, but the gist of it was I got a hover off that flying flaming skull thingy, and then by getting the hover, it puts me like right above this hole, and then instead of doing a Navi dive, I do an Ocarina dive instead. And it's the exact same principle as the Navi dive I did earlier. I used Navi to put me in a busy state. This one, I used an Ocarina animation to put me in a busy state. And this allowed us to get explosives really early. And having both bottle and early explosives is what we call it, breaks this game open in so many crazy ways. And that's actually going to be it for Child Link, believe it or not. We got bottle, we got explosives, we've got an Ocarina to use now, and we can actually go straight to adult, believe it or not, for those of you who have never seen an Ocarina of Time speedrun. Yeah, so our next stop is actually going to be the Temple of Time, and let's see how things go there. So I'm doing this movement here because the owl, Kapore Gabore, is like right above Kakariko, as you'll see there, and if he's there, he kind of chats your ear off. And it's not fun at all, so, you know, we find creative ways to, like, avoid him, to say the least. Cool. So the reason I moved in that very specific way was to make sure that I got into the castle before it hit night. Well, even if it hits night, I was able to get in. Because the bridge, this game has some weird things because, you know, it was made for the N64. The last time I looked at the bridge was when it was still down, and then when I turned around, it kind of like unloaded it from memory. So then when the bridge was going up, you could hear the audio, but the bridge was still technically down. So then when I side hopped onto the chain, the game's like, oh, wait a sec, it's actually now up. So that's why it flicks you up. But we can kind of abuse that and get in early. Oops. Oopsies. Cool. Alright, so that is what we call the Door of Time skip, or more commonly known as dot skip. there's actually a tiny gap between the Door of Time and the wall behind us. The programmers didn't actually patch that up completely. So that tiny gap has actually been known for a very, very long time. And this was before when I started speedrunning. People knew that if we could get past that gap and become adult, if we could get past that gap somehow, we could get the Master Sword early without having to complete any of the child dungeons. And a lot of trial and error over the years, and people found consistent setups to get past the door. And this is by far one of the biggest sequence breaks we have in this game. Being able to become adult early means we don't have to do any of the child dungeons. So that's really, really cool. All right, so this is just going to be text mashing for like, I'd say 2 minutes. So Charlie, if there's any donations, go for it. Else, any announcements?
Yeah, sure. Alicat in the chat has just been saying how you can go onto the Flying Doctor website and see where the planes are actually heading. So please go over to flyingdoctor.org.au to find out more information about this wonderful charity that we're raising money for.
Yeah. Actually, that's really cool. I didn't know that. Thanks, Alicat. But yeah, if you guys have any questions in chat about the run as well, I'm more than happy to answer them on the fly when I see them. So, you know, don't be afraid to ask. A lot of this game can be really confusing because it just seems like we're just doing random things and they just kind of work. I guess in many ways that's what speedrunning is. We're just kind of doing random sequence of things in a set order to get a set outcome. But I think that's what makes it really, really interesting. Yeah, that is actually really cool, Nay, being able to see what type of planes they have. What is the best name for a trick in this game? Oh, good question, Worcester. Oh, a cool sounding trick. Yesterday I did a trick in Forest Temple where I was able to skip like the vast majority of it, and I think we call that one Jungle Jump, which I find pretty interesting. I'm surprised we didn't call it Forest Jump, you know, because we're in Forest Temple, but it ended up becoming Jungle Jump. Oh, that Aggie, yeah. Yo, what's up, Ace? Thanks for the good luck, buddy. Support the staff. Yeah, Chief. Staff is, you know, you gotta look after your staff members. Also, if I got asked yesterday what I kept drinking, I just got coffee again today. But today actually makes more sense because it's morning. Yesterday I had a coffee at like, I think 4:55 p.m. like right during this run. But I was fine. I crashed at like midnight and was perfectly okay with it, drinking coffee that late. Everyone loves Jotwood. Yeah, in case anyone's wondering, we have some really weird categories in this game. The one that Nitro just mentioned in chat, Jotwood, stands for jump off the watchtower and die. Yeah, or jump off the tower watch and die. And it's literally just that. You get to the you know, the tower watch in Kakariko, jump off and die. And time ends when you die. It was a meme that started in Twilight Princess and then it somehow permeated to Ocarina of Time. And yeah, we've also got some other whack categories like what else do we have? We got 4% where you have to interact with all 4 of like the major female characters in Ocarina of Time: Zelda, Marlon, Ruto, and Saria. And time ends when you finish interacting with all of them. I kid you not, that's actually a category. 4-Bay RTA. There's Mweep, as FaZe said, yeah. You just gotta watch, you know, King Zora do his little shuffle thingamabob. Lots of weird categories in this game. But I think that's what gives it a lot of its charm, to be honest. Like this game, in many ways. And you know, for those of you who have been like on Twitch lately, you would have seen that you know, Ocarina of Time randomizers, or what we call randos, have become really popular as well. I'm not too keen on randos myself personally. I prefer playing this game quote unquote in a vanilla way, but you know, I respect it when people like do randos and stuff, and I'm happy because it means more people play this game, and it's my selfish hope that those that do randos will eventually find some love for RTA, which real-time attack, like traditional speed runs, and kind of want to learn a bit more about the game and, you know, kind of explore and see what it has to offer. And I do know one or two people who, you know, started with Ocarina of Time randomizers and then kind of decided, hey, I want to see what other categories or ways we can play this game are, because they may have seen like myself or someone else do traditional speed runs, and they'll learn new tricks, they'll learn crazy things, and yeah, lots of fun. Rudo duping 24 bay. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Obi-Wan, thingamabob, exactly. Yeah, what Faye said in chat as well isn't like a joke. With some of the more recent discoveries with this game, it's made the 100% category like completely insane. Like, it's so whack, for lack of a better word. I haven't really been keeping up to date with the newest developments. I just know it's crazy now to watch. Like, it makes like 0 sense. Only to the runners themselves. I think if I was ever going to come back to 100% runs, I would probably do no SRM, which is like kind of a more older way, a more traditional way of running hundo. I do miss running 100% personally, but I personally don't have the time for it anymore. Okay, so what we're doing at the moment is picking up the hook shot from Dampe. 47. Okay, so 47 is not too bad of a time against Dampe. I've gotten 46 a couple of times, and we've had a few people get the elusive 45 as well. But most people, you know, accept 47 as a decent Dampe race. You occasionally can squeeze out the 46, and it feels really good to do, but, you know, if I get a 47, I'll take it. That's crazy, Ace. 305 for hundo. Yeah, Obi-Wan. SRM is nuts. Yeah, so for those of you wondering, SRM stands for Stale Reference Manipulation. It's a whole other ballpark of like Ocarina of Time glitches, but needless to say, like the TLDR is that when it kind of got worked on this year, it's changed the game completely. I think the last big thing that really changed Ocarina of Time in like that scale was wrong warping. So it's really, really cool to see, but it's also made category routing, as Ace said, like it's made routing at like an absolute hell of a time. Because when something new gets found or a slight tweak, some categories have to get like rerouted because they're like, okay, now that we've got this to consider, what can we do that's faster? So, because of the craziness that's SRM, I've been mainly sticking to categories that don't do SRM, because I know they're a little bit more stable in terms of their routing. So I dipped my toes into SRM a little bit, and then I kind of just went, you know what? The changes are too much for me to keep up with. I'm just going to stick to some more stable categories. Yo, what's up, Hollow? How you going? Okay, so now that we've got hookshot, I went to pick up that fish because we will need it to do some more jiggery pokery magic later on that hopefully you guys will get to see. So our next pit stop is actually going to be Goron City, where I will be picking up the Goron tunic. Because I will most definitely be needing that throughout Fire Temple. There are ways you can get around it, but the strats are real risky, and I'm definitely wouldn't do that in a marathon setting. So yeah, I'm just gonna make my way to Goron City. So yeah, Charlie, if there's any donations, go for it.
Not right now, but just a reminder as before that you can keep up to date with all of the news regarding Oz speedruns on our various social media channels. We do have a Discord, we have a Twitter, and we of course have a YouTube account. So please give them all a follow, subscribe, whatever applies to that specific medium. And yeah, there's plenty that we're going to be doing in the future because we're doing events for a while now and they've all been really successful. So thank you.
Oh, I was hoping that wasn't gonna happen. Okay, so sometimes that Goron can high jump us, as you saw right there. Doesn't happen often, but sometimes he just likes to high jump us. So I hope I don't miss this one. I missed him again. Okay, I gotta be really careful now, otherwise my chew count's gonna be a little bit botched. I didn't drop the chew there for a sec. Who'd have thought out of all the things I'd screw up this, Kappa. That's okay. We'll figure things out. He'll come around again. Not this time, man. There are more consistent ways to like make sure he doesn't like jank us like that, but it's fine. So losing those 2 bomb chews wasn't ideal, to say the least, but it's okay. I will have to just be a little bit more careful with some other stuff I do. Otherwise, I'm going to be quite low on bomb chews. And we're technically not allowed to do any form of item manipulation in this run, but, you know, I will bend some rules if it means we can get the run finished, so I can at least showcase what it is this run's all about. But, you know, let's pray that doesn't happen. Yeah, the YouTube channel is great because you get to see some of the past events that we've done and some of the other runs we've had as well. And join the Discord as well, fam, if you can. It's pretty lively in there, which I love. I personally don't have any of the social medias, so you know, Discord is a great way for me personally to keep up to date with what's been going on with people and runs and events. Okay, so now that we've gotten Goron's tunic, we are going to do one more big setup before we head over to our first dungeon, which is Spirit Temple. I think so, Worster. I think we do. We need a rule bending jar. I'm happy to, if I have to, I'll donate again. Okay, so what I did there was purposefully die as I enter the Bolero of Fire cutscene, and we call this skipping music lessons. So because we died as we entered the cutscene, we still get the song, which is Bolero of Fire, but I don't have to watch the cutscene associated to it. And this will be handy because I now have a song that I can use to get to and from places quite easily. And the Bolero of Fire one is actually really handy because it's kind of like a central point throughout the whole game. Like, it's easy to get to everywhere from Death Mountain Crater. And I'll be using Bolero of Fire pretty much every time I finish a dungeon. And I'll explain why in just a moment that's important. Okay, so why that's important is because this game does a bit of a lazy check where as soon as you get the Spirit Medallion and Shadow Medallion, the game assumes you already have the other medallions and it triggers the Light Arrow cutscene. And that's a problem because if I was to save and reset after when I'm not in a dungeon as Adult Link, it would put me inside the Temple of Time. And that's a problem because the first 2 dungeons we beat are the last 2 in like quote unquote chronological order. And I don't want to watch that cutscene because we don't need to and it takes forever. So having Bolero of Fire just means we don't have to go to Temple of Time whatsoever once we get it. Okay, so normally we got some other ways to cross this bridge. but we're going to be doing some other magic. Cool. All right, so you don't need long shot, you don't need Epona, you just need to get like on like the tip of like the post that I stood there, like the absolute like furthest you can get without falling off. And then I did a trick called extend arm there, where you kind of extend the reach of your hook shot by like a tiny bit. And with a combination of all those things, you are able to hook shot that part of the bridge and go from there. So I was practicing the faster-ish way of doing this trick, but for the sake of this marathon, I'm just gonna take it a bit slower. I'll knock her out first. Otherwise, it could become problematic. So we're going to be entering Gerudo Training Ground. I think one more frame. So you'll see me doing pause and unpausing throughout this run as well. And that's a technique called pause buffering. And that just allows us to buffer frame by frame. And for some tricks, it just makes a little bit easier to get to the desired frame that we want, because some tricks only work on particular frames. Other tricks have like a range of frames that work, but yeah. So now that we're inside Gerudo Training Ground, I'm doing this thing called a weird shot. And give me one sec. Cool. And, you know, long story short, it just puts your camera underground, and I'm able to hook shot this chest and get some bomb shoes. Okay, so I can breathe a little bit more now that we've gotten an extra 5 bomb shoes. Because bomb shoes are one of the forms of explosives that are, like, they're not easily refilled. If I was to refill bomb shoes, I'd either have to, you know, open up a chest, buy them. You don't just get them from, like, patches of grass that you slash like you do with like bombs and like, you know, arrows and things like that. So yeah, makes life a little bit less scary in this regard. All right, so now that we've gotten bomb shoes, our first stop is Spirit Temple. So getting caught there was on purpose, so I can do something called gate skip. So it's just less RNG, we can pull this off. I did it in a different way to my run yesterday, but yeah, we got to be a little bit more creative. Cool. Yeah, that too. What Ace said. We got some. Oh my goodness. We got some other. We got some other caveats that we got to keep an eye on. So that was a mega side hop to get past this gap, and then we kind of side hop back in bounds. So now I'm going to cross the wasteland now. Normally, you know, in a casual playthrough, you would have the lens of truth here, and then you just follow the Poe that's like, oh, follow me, mate, and I'll make sure you get through this area safely. But if you know which direction to go, you don't need the lens of truth. Sketch gate is done, yeah. So I'll just be crossing the wasteland now before going into Spirit Temple. So, yeah. If there's any donations, Charlie, go for it.
There sure is. There is a $109.76 donation from Anonymous with no comment. Thank you very much. That's an incredibly generous donation.
Wow, thank you, thank you. Damn. Wow, 176. Whoever that was, thank you, thank you.
109.
109, sorry.
With some change, yeah.
With some change. Awesome. Holy moly. Alright, so now we're out of Haunted Wasteland. We are now going to skedaddle over to Spirit Temple. So, yeah. Spirit Temple can be a little bit scary as well, because in most traditional speed runs, when we go through Spirit Temple, we'll have like bombs, we'll have hover boots, and it makes life a little bit easier. But because I have neither of those things at this point in time, like I said, the reason I like this category so much is because it really forces you to be creative, or it's had to force speedrunners to be really creative with how they do certain tricks. And there are certain tricks that I think you'll only see in this run and this run alone, because at every other point in OOT, you would have like the desired items you want. So give me 1 sec, fam. Cool. Yeah, what Ace said as well. Like, we have a bunch of runs in this game called, like, that are classed as what's called low percent. And low percent is just getting as little number of items as possible. And it's got a slightly different timing system in the sense that if you can find a way to skip getting an item, even if the run takes longer, it's still technically a faster run, because the precedence here is not so much the time itself. I mean, it is, but the number of items takes precedence. So if you were to say do a speed run of a category in this game for low percent, and your run gets, say, 6 items in 20 minutes, but then you find a way to skip one of the items and you get 5 items, but it takes 40 minutes, as I said, it's counted as the better run, because the lowness of the run outweighs the final time. So I think, you know, that type of thing's really, really cool. I've never done a low percent category because, to be honest, they just scare the crap out of me. And in my opinion, definitely not marathon safe either. Like, so many things can go horrendously wrong. So I don't think, at least from me personally, I don't think you'll be seeing me submit any low percent stuff anytime soon. If anyone else has, like, you know, the guts to do it, I applaud you. Yo, what's up, Nibs? Thanks for the good luck, man. Okay, so we are actually heading over to get more bomb shoes. So there is actually a hand that has a Triforce on it, and we can use that to play Zelda's Lullaby to get a key, but we're going to be a little bit more, dare I say, adventurous. Cool. So, yo, what's up, Lou? Thanks for the good luck, man. So there's actually more bomb shoes in here. I think another 5, so thank goodness. So, or 10, actually. Ignore me. I don't know my bomb shoe counts. All right. So now we got that bomb shoe chest. We are going to. We need one more key to progress through this run. And we're going to be doing something called equip swap, where you're able to equip an item that you normally can't equip. So normally Deku Stick you can't equip as adult, but using something called equip swap, we have a 1 frame window between the screen transitions there where the item, I guess, is technically active. And so we're able to equip stuff we normally can't equip. And that was discovered, I'd say, a couple of years ago now, and that also changed a lot of things. And this category got directly affected because we used to pretty much play through every single dungeon in this category as Adult Link. And then we go back as Child Link to do Jabu, because at the time there was no way we could equip Boomerang easily. So, yeah. I was over 3 years old, yeah, so it's been around for a while now, but it's definitely changed how we do certain categories, which is really, really cool. It affected this one, which was awesome to see. All right, so we did all that jiggery pokery just so we can get this key. And now we're able to proceed through. So I'm just equipping my hookshot back because I'll most definitely need it. Cool. So that section didn't go too badly. I've had some pretty... Oh my goodness, camera. Had some pretty awful times with that room sometimes, especially with the Beamos. I didn't realize I had to get so close. Thank you. But yeah, Quip Stop is awesome. I love the idea of the trick. Alright, so I'm gonna go through this room. Get rid of the Beamos. And get rid of these Anubis. That's just the movement I've done for this section for some time now. I'm sure there are much better ways to do that movement. But that's the only way that I can think of without just blindly running in circles. Alright, so we hit that thing. We hit that Armos there. So he can hit the switch for us. And we're right near Mirror Shield now, actually. But I still got to get past this Iron Knuckle here. Yeah, I'm still always very on edge against Iron Knuckles because Iron Knuckles hit you for 4 hearts, and as you can see, I've only got 3. So if I get hit by one, it's pretty catastrophic to say the least. So I'm always a little bit, I'm still on edge after all these years. All right, but we got the Mirror Shield, and that's good news, bears. All right, so now that we've got this, we are actually able to now proceed through the rest of Spirit Temple. Normally you would have to do a lot more to get, like, you know, the boss key and whatnot, but again, we're gonna have some pretty creative ways to skip this. Oops, I just realized that I actually have to take a bit of damage against one of these guys, and the damage is intentional because I will be doing a cutscene skip right at the end of Spirit Temple, where it will allow me to get the medallion, but I won't have to watch the cutscene associated to it. Fingers crossed I can pull it off. I don't have hover boots for starters, Bocage, and it would be very, very difficult to pull it off with the amount of shoes that we have. Okay, so just doing a slight setup here, just so I can climb the shoulder of this statue a bit easier. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so now we're on this part of the shoulder. Oopsies. Yeah, unless you're Neko. Oopsies. Yeah, or if you're Rose, exactly. Hang on, I'm not in a good spot. That's better. All right. So one last thing to do. Just give me 1 sec. This is actually a little bit scary, so I'm gonna make sure I can pull it off. Cool. Whew, okay, that was definitely one of the more scary tricks, but that's just a really elaborate way to skip having to get the boss key for this dungeon. It's normally nowhere near as involved. Like I said, with bomb shoes, with bombs and hover boots and whatnot, it's way easier. But I'm pretty sure this is the only category, and maybe as Ace said, a low percent category, where you do the Spirit Temple BK skip like that. And it's always a scary time. And that, yeah, to minimize the number of bomb shoes used, exactly. Because there are ways you can do it that probably involve more bomb shoes, but that one just so we can spare us a chew or two. All right, so yeah. Naburu Knuckle, like, there are ways you can actually skip this cutscene as well and finish off Naburu Knuckle as well. But in this category, it would involve using a bomb chew. And from memory, Naburu cutscene skip saves like 15 seconds. But if you screw it up, oh boy, that's like 5-6 minutes gone because you have to go through this whole section again. That's if you do Spirit Hover for like another category. It probably wastes like 3 or 4 minutes in this route. So, never something I'd go for in a marathon run for the interest of time. Do new routes get made mainly when people find glitches, or does figuring out how to use fewer items change routes? I'd say both, Obi-Wan. Like, figuring out how to use fewer items can definitely affect some of the more main categories, but it affects low percent more than anything. Like when SRM got found, that pretty much gave every single category a split in many ways. Like, you know, any percent became beat, you know, it got split into any percent where you can do SRM and Ace and all that good stuff, or you can just do beat Ganon, which is like the old way of doing Gim and stuff. You know, all dungeons also got SRM and no SRM. What else got SRM, no SRM? 100%. Yeah, low percent RDO is actually like insane. Oh, I would never have the guts to do it. Alright, so now it's time to fight these two witches, and Twin Rover can actually be pretty trolly. In recent runs, I've just been getting slapped by these two. That was actually not too bad, but I couldn't see where she was half the time. Okay, it's not too bad. If she flies over this way, that'd be great. Cheers. Awesome. It's not bad. Okay, that's not bad at all. So you'll see me hookshotting the other one when I notice one of them is going to fire. And the reason for that is if you hookshot the other one, or either of them, it keeps them in their place. Like, physically, not metaphorically. You know, we lock them in place, and we're able to just have a much easier time. And that's it, 4 shots. The reason I hookshotted that one again was because I noticed that in her position, she may have charged up for another shot. And I just wanted to interrupt it because we only need to do 4. If you don't interrupt it, sometimes you might get like 5 or 6 if they just kind of stay in the same spot. So we do that as a safety measure. Oops, I didn't hookshot her as she was about to hit me. Okay, so the first 3 shots and the next 3 shots of the second phase Twin Rover are actually going to be the same element, so you don't have to guess. And now that that's done, we will be doing a cutscene skip. Hopefully I can pull it off. It will save us a lot of time. So with these cutscene skips, there's 3 scenarios that you can get. You either get the cutscene skip successfully, and for these ones, you'll see me end up at the start of the dungeon, and there'll be like a white flash on the screen, and that's how you know it was a success. The other case is you end up just watching the cutscene because you either screwed it up and loaded too many frames of the blue warp, And the other case is you don't load enough frames and you don't watch the cutscene and you end up back at the start of the dungeon. That is the worst scenario. The lesser of two evils is definitely just watching the cutscene, because at least you still get the desired outcome, which is the medallion and completing the dungeon. Alright, just checking to make sure I have fish. Cool. Alright, so this will just be me doing a setup, and if there's any donations, Charlie, go for it.
Not right at the minute, but I've been looking at the website for the Royal Flying Doctor service, and it's actually really interesting, the range of services that they provide. For example, people in remote areas can access dental care through the Royal Flying Doctor service. So it's really a lifeline for people who live in remote areas or happen to be in remote areas at a particular time. So please get your donations coming in. It's for a very, very good cause.
Thank you, Charlie. Yeah. Shasta. RFDS. Okay, so if I see the white flash, we're good. Alright, cool beans. I should have done a safety save there, but I can do it here, just in case. So that's the first dungeon done. Got the cutscene skip successful, we got the medallion. Life's pretty good at the moment. But it's definitely one of the more scarier sections of this run completed now. But we're still not out of the neck of the woods just yet. The rate at which we complete dungeons will also be a little bit quicker now, because we start to get more of our items back. We're able to do more traditional setups of certain glitches and whatnot. But I personally don't take a big breather in this category until we get our bombs back, which is after Dodongo's Cavern. So we'll most definitely be a while. Okay, so the next pit stop is Shadow Temple, and it'll be good to get Shadow Temple done because we will get hover boots back, and having hover boots is an absolute godsend in any category. Actually, if you can have hover boots, it makes life so much easier. Like if I had hover boots during Spirit Temple, it would have most definitely made some stuff a lot easier. Like to skip the boss key, for example, there's a much easier setup I could have done that wouldn't have involved any explosives and is actually pretty easy to do. Alright, so just moving my way to Shadow Temple. Oopsies. Okay, so like yesterday's run where I basically launched myself onto this seam, we're going to be doing the same thing. Doing, I guess, a hookshot jump. Yeah, true, actually. Just have to use the one to clip it. Whee! Okay, so I get ISG there because one of the other byproducts of ISG is that you can't fall off seams. So it makes traversing this section way easier, because if I didn't have ISG here and I'd walk past this section, I'd fall. I know I had one runner whom I knew who prided themselves in being able to cross this seam without ISG, and then there's one time they screwed it up and I was like, yeah, about that, hey. Okay, so now we're in Shadow Temple and we're gonna go fight Dead Hand again. So if you caught my run yesterday, it's pretty much the exact same fight. Shadow Temple is pretty much identical to what I did yesterday, except at the end of Shadow Temple I will be doing a cutscene skip, like we did in Spirit Temple. Whereas yesterday's run I wasn't able to do a cutscene skip because Ganondorf's source requirement, one of the restrictions is no item manipulation and no wrong warping. Oh, I guess technically there's been some like revisions on like the rule set, so I guess technically no blue warp cutscene skips. And that spawn with the Dead Hand was actually really nice to me. In all of my other runs recently, I've just been getting absolutely shafted with where he spawns, so it's good that you know, he's been semi-nice to us today. Alright, I'm just gonna chuck a safety save here. Just in case. Okay, so now we're gonna be doing something called boat skip. One sec. Please. Thank you. Skips a massive portion of Shadow Temple, to say the least. So now we're actually in the room right before Bongo Bongo. But none of the textures are loaded, so gotta be a little bit careful. It's fine. And we're through. So now we are right at Bongo Bongo. So yeah, boat skip skips a very large portion of Shadow Temple, as you can see. And we skipped the boss key there by doing something called a ledge clip and then using the bomb shoe explosion to push us through the door. So yeah, I'm glad that part's done. But yeah, boat skip is really, really cool. As you can see, it saves so much time. Yeah, all good, Lou. Getting some groceries. Alright, so now time to fight Bongo Bongo. Thank you. So yeah, the reason, so I got ISG there off that hand, and technically ISG is stored in Link's left shoulder, so I kind of moved a little bit to the right, so then when Bongo's eye charged at me, it would hit Link's left shoulder, and then you're able just to hit him ad nauseum, and the fight is a lot more simpler after that. And the reason I wanted to make sure I moved a fair bit to the left is because sometimes I haven't moved far enough and Bongo will clip me and I die. And it's pretty much run over at that point, especially if you're on PB pace. You might still be able to save it, but it's a pretty big time loss, to say the least. Okay, so now we're going to be going for another cutscene skip. So we use this fishy here to get something called Ocarina items. I'll explain it in just a moment. Okay, so that allows us to play a fake Ocarina. And the reason that's handy is because we're able to then cancel like us going into the blue warp and doing some further magic. We load a certain number of frames of the blue warp, kind of messes with where the game thinks it needs to take us. I think that should work. That looks fine. Cool. All right, so that white flash, Star of the Temple, means we successfully got the cutscene skip. Okay, so 2 dungeons now done, and if I was to step foot inside Temple of Time, I would trigger the Light Arrows cutscene, and that's something I definitely don't want because it's a humongous waste of time, to say the least. So we're gonna make sure that doesn't happen. So we are going to be using Bolero a lot now. All right, so our next stop in the reversey dungeony order is Water Temple. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but as a child, like when I was a kid, playing through Water Temple was just a nightmare. I could never figure out, like, you know, the proper number of keys and, you know, which order to play the water rising and lowering. It was just a nightmare for me to get through. But thankfully, in more glitch-based categories, Water Temple is actually pretty easy. So we're gonna have to first escape the forest. I don't have Silver Scale, so we have to do a little bit of a setup there to clip through that stone pillar and swim through to Zora's River. It's ironic because the loading zone, even though the game makes you swim to this hole, the loading zone actually extends like all the way up. Which is really, really interesting. I guess I'll equip this now, just in case, because I'll need it for later. And now we are in Zora's domain. But we need to get to Lake Hylia, and it's currently frozen over, so we will have to do a ladder clip. Or not, okay. I think I just let go of target too early there. But we have more backup. We have a backup way of doing this. There we go. Now I'm just going to jump slash to get back in bounds and swim over to this loading zone for Lake Hylia, which is coincidentally frozen over. Oh, nice, Ace. There's kind of particular floor that's tagged to load if you're above it. Fair. Above it and not moving upwards. That makes sense. All right, so we just did another ledge clip there, similar to the one we did in Shadow Temple to get past the boss door. But this one we actually used to swim in the water to hit the water temple loading zone a bit easier. Because the kind of the proper way of doing this is you would need iron boots from, you know, Ice Cavern, sink yourself down, and then use the hook shot to hit that. But by using the ledge clip, we're able to swim around it and hit the loading zone from here. I'm gonna do another safety save because never hurts to do a safety save in a marathon setting, fam. Alright, so we're gonna be using this Tektite to do a mega flip to cross this gap of water. Come on. Thank you. Awesome, so that's the frame we want. We launch ourselves off him, and away we go. Otherwise, you would actually not have enough speed and time to cross this gap normally. I could have used an explosive, like a mega side hop with a bomb chew, but like I mentioned earlier, bomb chews are very, very precious in this run, that I don't want to use any that I don't absolutely have to. So we still have this door to get through, and this boss key skip is a lot more involved than some of the other categories I've run. So again, like Spirit Temple, I'll just focus a little bit. Nice. All right, way through. Whew. That's always a bit of a scary one too. But we got through in the end. And now we're just gonna take on Morpher. Morpher is pretty stock standard, I'd like to say. It can be a little bit trolly depending on where the first initial, you know, tentacle spawny thing goes, but I'll play this relatively safe. Because ideally I'd like to damage down to half a heart and then finish off Morpher, but I've had weird instances where Morpher escapes because I just had a really bad angle when I try to corner it and then I die. So for the sake of, you know, the marathon and not, you know, adding more time to the already tight schedule as it is, I'm just gonna play this safe. So I'll just wait for Morpher to spawn itself. Okay, that's just, I don't like this spawn at all, because it's like right in the center, and I believe I have to stand in like right at the edge to hook shot Morpher over. Like there, like I don't like that spawn at all. So I'll just wait till it creeps a little bit closer. I believe the next spawn should be right in front of me, because I've had that situation before. Yeah, so it raises its tentacle, and you go from there. So I spam hook shot to keep it in place. And that's how you get it. You basically get it into the corner, poke it in, and then just crouch stab it to death. So the reason those crouch stabs did so much damage is because I'm doing something called power crouch stabbing, Crouch stabs in this game are quite weird. They take by default, I think they have damage value of 1, and then they take the last, they update to take the last attack you did. So if I did a jump slash right before all the crouch stabs I do after a certain bit, then all crouch stabs will have the same attack value as a jump slash. And I think a jump slash has an attack value of 4, so it can speed up things quite quickly. And you'll see me do that a fair bit throughout this run. I've already done it, but I just realized I forgot to explain it. Might be. Okay, so there's the damage down that I did on purpose. And let's go from here. So another cutscene skip. Yeah, it's good. Fish. Thank you. So there's 3 possible working frames that we can get here. So I got the first frame that works. The second frame has the exact same setup as the one I just did here. And the third frame has a slightly different setup, but boom, yay, that worked. Hooray. All right, so, oops, I can do a safety save. Inside Fire Temple. Okay, so Water Temple now done. So the next dungeon in the reverse order is Fire Temple. If you have any donations, Charlie, go for it.
I do indeed. We have a $11.55 donation from Jackie saying thanks for a great few days of runs. Thank you very much, Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie. Okay, so Fire Temple has its scary moments. It happened yesterday, believe it or not. I hope it doesn't happen today in this run. When I was going through Fire Temple, the last fight against Vavagia, because of the way I do it and my bomb chew count, Vavagia spawns these rocks that keep falling from the top. And one of them clipped me and I died. And it's never happened to me before because I was in a spot where I was like, alright, this surely can't hit me, but it did. Okay, so what I did there was I did something called time stop, and that keeps the camera facing Link. And the reason I want to do that is because when I enter this room I'm in now, if I was just to open it like normal, Darunia will kind of talk your ear off. But by having the camera facing Link, it doesn't load Darunia, and then as a result, we skip having him give us a pretty lengthy conversation. Okay, so did that to get the first key without too much drama. And now we're just gonna make our way throughout this section of Fire Temple. This section is, at least for the next minute or so, there's nothing too fancy schmancy that we do. Just, you know, traversing through, getting keys from Gorons, and yeah. We just move through, and move through. For those of you who have just caught this run, my name's Mikami, and hope you're enjoying the marathon so far. We've got a really good run after this one as well. I really hope you guys can stick around for Peaking's speed run. That man can do some of the most crazy things with a DDR machine, so I sincerely hope you guys can stick around for that. It's rare you'll get to see like Peaking's run in marathons unless they're remote, because you know he does a lot of his stuff with a DDR machine, so it's kind of hard to just lug that around wherever you go. Yeah. Yes, Charlotte. Most people do play on Wii VC. It also depends on the category as well. Most categories are definitely faster on Wii VC because of less lag, but there are some categories that are done on N64 because they take advantage of certain glitches that are only available on N64 versions of the game. So the Wii VC version got version 1.2 of the game, and N64 had access to 1.0, 1.1, and 1.2. And there are some glitches that are only possible on the 1.0 version of the game and 1.1 as well. And there are some people who are just purists, so they just like to play on a specific version, even if it's slower, and that's fine as well. V champion for sure. Like, there are some people that make the joke of, oh, all speedruns have to be done on the original version and whatnot, but if Nintendo released this version, in my mind, it's an official version, so there shouldn't be this original version argument. It should just be an official release. But yeah, Wii VC is definitely the way to go. And if any of you in chat want to get into Ocarina of Time speedrunning, Wii VC is definitely the most easy to set up in terms of like the official releases. Like, if you have an old Wii lying around, setting it up is like ridiculously easy. N64 is a little bit more involved. Unless you have, if you're from Power Region like I am, you're kind of screwed. Because the PAL version of this game runs at 50 hertz, and it changes everything basically. So if you want to run on the N64 version, you need to get yourself an NTSC-U or an NTSC-J N64, and then buy either an NTSC-U or NTSC-J version of this game. I'm going to get a heart here, and I'll blow up this door and I'll get the other heart just for safety, because I don't trust myself with this section, at least not in a marathon setting. Cool. All right, so we're doing all right. But yeah, I sincerely hope to see more people pick up Ocarina of Time as a speed game. It's definitely one of the more popular speed runs that people do these days. Like, our community's been pretty active over the last year, so I'd still like to see more runners though. It's exciting when new runners come and want to learn more about the game, and you get some people who end up putting a lot of time into it and getting like really good, and that's always exciting to see. And there's something for everyone with Ocarina of Time, like in terms of categories. You get people who are kind of a little bit more into like the sciencey side of things, you know, finding glitches, routes, and whatnot. I think that's one of the most wholesome things about speedrunning in general, is that there is a place for everyone. Like, people don't have to just do runs, you know. Some people just like to look for things. Some people like to make tools for us runners to use. So. Ah, yes, as opposed to those dark days where OOT speedruns were rare. OOT, I guess, has always been quite popular. That's worse to say. It's always been definitely 1997, I guess, yeah. They've always been very popular. I'd say, well, OOT, I dare say, if people in chat can contribute as well, but I'd say OOT, SM64, they're two of the most popular speed games. I don't know what else we'd bundle up there, but I know those two we can easily say for certainty. I don't know what else we could put in that category. I guess Super Mario, like the original NES version. Alright, so now that we got Megaton Hammer, we're gonna be slippity sliding past the boss door. Okay, so I'm just going to equip Kokiri Boots now. Okay, so this, like I said, yesterday in practice, this fight kind of trolled me a little bit. I got hit by a rock where I thought I was genuinely going to be safe. So I sincerely hope that doesn't happen today. You know, bless RNG, this doesn't happen. But it is a speed run, anything can happen. These days, quite a few PC games, I get a ton. Actually, that's true, yeah. Super Metroid is one of them. I know it's not PC exclusive, but, you know... Oh, I guess, yeah, I was gonna say Celeste is quite popular these days as well. Yeah, Link to the Past, Dank Souls as well. Okay, so normally if my bomb chew count was a little bit healthier, I would use 3 bomb chews here and save me 1 cycle of this fight. But because I wasted 2 bomb chews trying to stop the Goron, which is sad, I'm just gonna play this a bit safer. Okay, so this is the section I was telling you about yesterday where I got really trolled. So in this part, Vivagia flies all the way up and starts dropping rocks on you. Now, in all the years I've done this category, I've just held onto this side of the, you know, the stage, the platform, and I've never been hit by a rock. And it happened yesterday. I think Vivagia dipped into a hole that was really close to where I was, and a rock just fell on me and I just died. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, fair. Okay, one more phase of Vivagia and we're good. I don't think this one has rock spawns. Refunct? I've actually heard that word stuff. A few people have mentioned it to me in chat, like in my own stream, and I was like, oh, I've never heard of this game, but it is pretty popular from what you and other people have mentioned to me. Audio is crackling a bit. I don't know if that's my end, or I can turn off the fan. I just turned off my fan. I don't know if that helps a bit, Bocage. I'm just using it to keep cool. Yeah, exactly, worse. So, like, I'm one of them. I don't even know what the game is, let alone run the game myself. Okay, so now Vivagia is Dunskies. We are actually going to be doing a proper wrong warp this time. Fingers crossed I can pull it off. Let's do it. Okay. So all the other ones we've done so far have been cutscene skips. This one's actually going to be a proper wrong warp. In the traditional sense, I suppose. Okay, so... Fire Temple will hopefully be done after this, and our next dungeon in the reverse order is Forest Temple. Which is pretty convenient, because if all this goes well... If all this goes well, we will end up in Forest Temple. And, how convenient, right, fam? Alright, let's do this. Another safety save here, just in case. Just holding on to... I'm gonna take half a heart here because I need to be on a bit lower health for one more cutscene skip in this section. So there's no way to dodge the rocks. Just holding onto the side of the platform, Obi-Wan. It's probably the easiest way to dodge those rocks, yeah. Forest Temple is actually surprisingly short because we don't actually need to get the fairy bow in this section, in this run. So we're actually able to go straight to Phantom Ganon from this main foyer room by doing some pretty crazy, I guess, collision at, like, you know, out of bounds stuff. So I don't know when this was found. I know it's fairly old. I know it's been around for as long as I've been running. We just clip behind the stairs and Bob's your auntie. You're at Phantom Ganon. So yeah, this fight, nothing too crazy about it. So yeah, Charlie, if you have any donations or other announcements, go for it.
Yep, so this run is just really interesting. Like, I'm learning so much about Ocarina of Time. I'm not usually that into Zelda, but watching this run, I'm having a great time and learning a lot.
Awesome.
And you want to stick around because after this run, there is also a run of Splatoon done on a dance mat. So yeah, what a time to be alive, eh? Stay with us.
Thanks, Charlie. I got some interesting trivia for you guys. So, Peking and I chat, you know, on a semi-regular occasion. The guy who'll be doing the dance pad run later. Now, I have done some runs of Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES, and my time's like not that good, but you know, I had fun with it. But the crazy thing is, Peking, who does speed runs on a dance pad, he has a faster time than I do, and I play on like a keyboard/controller. So he's always like rubbing it in. He's like, "Yo, Mika, when are you gonna beat my time?" I'm like, "Don't go there." I was like, "Why are you rubbing this in?" I checked the leaderboards. I'm like, "Holy crap, his time's like faster than mine." Oh, okay. So that damage we took against Phantom Ganon just now was intentional. Oh boy, that was close. That scared the crap out of me. I didn't realize he had ducked out of my stun lock. Really? Alright, he's gonna play tennis with us. But I have ISG, which means he can just do a... There we go. I don't know why that was so jank, but we did it in the end. Okay. I also slashed. Yeah, that too. Oh, I didn't restore jump slash. Did I not? Oh, whoopsies. Okay, that's fine. So now that Phantom Ganon is done skis, we have just one more cutscene skip to do. This one is a little bit more scary than some of the other ones as well, so I will focus a little bit because the visual cue for this is quite precise. And I'm pretty sure this is like one of the only categories you do this version of Forest Temple cutscene skip. You normally have bombs at this point in other runs, but alas, we don't have bombs in this run yet. Which is why I'm just like, can't breathe. Well, can't take a breather until, you know, stuff. Alright, bless. I'm just gonna make sure I'm really in the corner for this. Cool. Good. So far, so good. Okay. One. 2 frames of the fence. 3, 4, 5. Take my time. Okay, see the sword. Cool. Yeah, so I was looking at how many frames of the fence I loaded, and also Link's left hand, a specific frame where the hilt of his sword was slightly visible and it disappeared. Whew. All right, white flash means we did it successfully. That's one of the more scarier ones, like I said. Okay, so now all the adult dungeons are done, actually. Reverse order-wise, we're doing pretty good so far. So now we are actually going to complete the child dungeons. So child dungeons in reverse order are, you know, Jabu, Dodongo's Cavern, and Deku Tree before we go take on Ganon. So this is actually quite interesting coming up because even though as adult Link, Jabu is actually not there, his loading zone still is. And if you hit it in a very specific way, you're able to get into Jabu's belly even as adult Link. And the setup for this used to be very, very complicated, like crazy complicated. It was something I'd never do, even just to muck around with for fun. But thanks to a few really clever people in the community and one of our guys called Neko, who's a really good runner and a really, really good setup hunter for like certain tricks, he found a much easier way to do this, and we thank him for it. I haven't seen Neko in a very, very long time. I think he's just taking a break, or maybe he's busy with school, but I miss the guy, and I seriously hope we see him back here real soon in the community. Neko, wherever you are, man. we could have really used your help during the SRM phase, but alas, I hope to see him back. There's a few runners who do that. You know, they'll go incog for some period of time because of life, and then they come back. Okay, so King Zoro is currently blocking our way, but we have ways past him. Like just there. Okay, so I did a safety save in Forest Temple just in case I screwed this up, because I've only got 2 shots at this. Ideally, I just need the 1 shot, but you know, this category can be pretty spoopy. If I was going for like a full-on run where I'm just trying to go for like the best PB possible, I'd only have 1 Bombchu at this point. But I've also would have not taken as long with Vavagia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, cool. Right angle. 1 more frame. Thank you. Okay. Whew, all right, we're in. Oh, it's a cool trick, but I still don't like doing it to this day. It still gives me the heebie-jeebies after all these years. I will need this bottle actually for later. Wait, do I do a safety save in here? Just in case. Alright, so now we're inside Jabu's belly. After a really elaborate setup, we're just gonna go through Jabu now. Unfortunately, in order to get the boomerang legit, you have to take Ruto on her escort quest. So, yeah. If there's any donations or messages, Charlie, go for it. Yep,
just to remind everybody once more what we're raising money for, which is the Royal Flying Doctor Service. I mean, we'll have a lot of people in the audience who are not from Australia, so just to explain what they do, they provide a wide range of medical care to people who are based in remote areas. I mean, there's areas in Australia where it's kind of hard to access services. So that's what they do, and it's a really valuable service, especially during these pretty uncertain times. So yeah, any money that you can spare as a donation is absolutely appreciated. But if you can't, we love seeing you watch the channel, so keep with us and keep watching.
Awesome, thanks Charlie. Okay, so we're gonna chuck Ruto back up here. I actually need to do one thing here. I need to get a fairy for later. So technically in this part of the run, we are done with our Bombchus. So I am actually going to dupe over them just so I can get myself another bottle. So now we've got a bottle over our Bombchu slot, and I will be, oops, getting a fairy from this bottle instead. The reason I did it in that very specific way is because in order for the fairy to like kind of activate, it needs to be in a quote-unquote proper bottle. Like if I was to dupe a bottle like I did with the Bombchus, like over my Bombchu slot, and I had the fairy in there, it actually wouldn't activate if I died, for example. It would only activate if it's in a legit bottle. I can still use it, like, you know, I can pull it out and, you know, let it help me recover, but yeah, in order for it to be effective, like post dying, it needs to be in a real bottle. All right, so we're just gonna ride the little mini elevator up. Is Ruda gonna give us a wah or no? 1 wah for good measure, 2 wahs for good luck. Damn, not a single one. So she doesn't want us to have any good measure or good luck. So selfish. Oh, how selfish is she? Yeah, I didn't know that actually, Ace, when I started learning some categories way back when, and I was just like, oh, wait, why didn't this work? And I was like, oh. Yeah, Jim, we got absolutely nothing there, mate. Bruno does not want anything good for this run, Kappa. Oh, well, what can you do? Alright, so we use Rudo to get rid of this thingy. And then we take out the rest of the three. So, will she give us the Vibruto? Nah. Sometimes if you drop her on a very specific part of the chest, she just shakes like crazy up and down. And we just call that Vibruto. Well, I call it Vibruto. I'm pretty sure other runners do as well. Oh, really, Ace? So that's one way you could get around it, is just have the bottle equipped. Actually, I didn't know that. Okay, that's actually really good to know. Okay, so now that we got the boomerang, we will now go take on Baronade. So like I did inside of Spirit Temple, I'm going to be equip swapping the boomerang. And when equip swap got found, like I said that it changed this category directly. It's because of that. It enabled us to equip boomerang in a much easier way compared to when we used to do it. We have to go back as child and go from there. Okay, so I'm gonna hit this switch. This switch is a little bit trolly as adult Link for whatever reason, but as child Link it's pretty like easy just to wing it, but with adult I've noticed I've had to be a little bit more careful. And time for a Baronade. That's one of the first things I realized when equip swap was found. You can equip swap for infinite fairies essentially. Oh, I think we do that in some categories, right? Where we do like the Dong Door or something. We go for like an extra fairy here. From memory. Because you have to die twice in that. Alright, so this fight, it's pretty standard in some ways. We just gotta play it well, and we can stun lock Baronade. So that's what I mean by stun locking it, where before it even has a chance to like unleash the ring of little jellyfish, we hit it with the boomerang and stun it, and then use the deck of nuts to get rid of all of them in one shot. It just takes practice, honestly, this section. It took me a while to get down when I started to try like optimize certain sections of the run of other categories, and yeah, you get used to it. Hey Rowley, what's up, buddy? I was gonna get this heart container. I don't have to get this one explicitly, but I'll get it for safety. Okay, so Rudo is not having a good time. There is a way you can actually skip this cutscene and warp to like crazy places like Fire Temple or Dodongo's Cavern, but the setup is actually really elaborate and you need a lot of bomb chews, which at this point I have none. So we just cop the cutscene and just let her talk our ear off. So yeah, there'll just be a cutscene for like maybe a minute or two. So if there's any donations or announcements, Charlie, go for it.
Sure. We have a donation of $55.20 from Club Who saying, haha, planes go brrrr.
Thanks,
Thank
Club.
you very much, Club Who.
N64 Reverse Dungeon Order does it. It's crazy. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so the Nintendo 64 version of this route, because it can take advantage of some other tricks, it's, as Ace said, it's actually insane. Like, VC or Reverse Dungeon Order or RDO is actually quite... It's scary, but it's like, okay, yeah, it's pretty cool. N64 is just nuts. Yeah, Rally. Doing some runs for ASM, and you know, shouts to Oz Speedruns once again for allowing me to do this run and the run yesterday. Alright, so now our next stop is actually going to be And I'm just going to swap my equips around a little bit so they're less awkward. It's actually Dodongo's Cavern. And at this point, I'm not as scared in some ways, because once we get bombs, it makes the rest of the run, well, what's left of the run, I should say, a lot less scary. Because I'm like, okay, I've got refillable explosives at to an extent. So if I run out, there are easy ways to just refill it. So this is what I mean by, like, this category gets less stressful as you progress through the run. You know, in that sense, it's still scary because endgame can be a little bit bonkers at times, but you know, we'll get there. Yeah, some crazy stuff that this game is capable of. Gee whiz. Yeah, that sounds insane, honestly. But anything for that faster time, right? Alright, so normally we need like an explosive to blow up this door, but Megaton Hammer does the job too. Ironically, if you had a bottle of blue fire, it also gets rid of that. For what reason, I don't know, but yeah. Okay, so I actually do have to save and reset here. Because the wrong warp we're going to do at the end of Dodongo's Cavern, it relies on the last cutscene you watched being something very specific, and I believe watching the introduction kind of fixes that. If you don't save warp there, it could be pretty bad news bears. I've done that before. You just soft lock and then you're like, oh, right, thanks game. But not this time, not this time. So I'm damaging down here on purpose, because I got a fairy earlier, and we're going to be doing something called hookshot jump, which I did in yesterday's run as well. One more frame. Cool. So we hit the ladder on the exact same frame that we die. The bridge has no collision from underneath, so we fly up and then land on top, and then we use the fairy to revive us. And that's just a big time save from us having to go all the way around Dodongo's Cavern. And there's the pesky bomb bag. So yeah, like I said, now we can take a slight breather because we have some form of explosives again. Okay, so I'm just gonna do an equip. Safety save, because I've been doing a lot of those safety saves. It's something I don't do in like my personal PB paced runs, but for a marathon, it's just a habit I get into. Because you just never know when something might go horrendously wrong. Touch wood. So far, everything in this run has, for me personally, been like okay. Nothing too hectic has gone horrendously wrong. The only the only hiccup I had, I'd like to say, was wasting 2 chews against Goron to get the Goron tunic, but other than that, I'd say everything has been pretty alright. Udon. Man, I haven't had udon in a while, actually, Ral. Okay, so we do Ocarina items there on the Switch, and it kind of delays it from being pressed down. There are other ways you can skip that, but I choose to opt for that because it's the easiest way to do it. You can target a case and do all that shenanigan, which I do from time to time, but for the sake of safety in this run, I'm just gonna do this. All right, so the King Dodongo fight, probably one of the easiest fights in this game, if not the easiest fight. You just have to peg bombs in his mouth and he swallows them. Interestingly, there's a category we have in this game called child dungeons, where the objective is just to complete all the child dungeons as quick as possible and go from there, and then get the Ocarina of Time, and then that's it. That's the run done. In that category, at least with an older route, you would normally skip getting the bomb bag and then use bomb chews to hover and then drop a bomb chew into KD's mouth. That's actually crazy. I remember when I was running child dungeons regularly, I would lose many runs to this section because it just made the fight like that much harder. Okay, so KD is Dunskies. We'll be doing a wrong warp here to skip having to watch the cutscene, which is nice. And then, if all goes well, we should end up at a different location to where we should normally be. Okay, so doing a specific setup here to get into a specific position. And, no fish troll. Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Come on. Please. Thank you. There we go. Okay, so the bomb exploded as soon as we backflipped into this blue warp. So when I cancel it, it kills me. And then this should just mess with the game just that little bit more. And if all goes well, I'm pretty confident, so I'll do a save here. Famous last words. We should end up in Gerudo Training Ground. Or Gerudo, yeah. And that's what that we actually take advantage of this wrong warp in other categories. Like we'll go straight to Spirit Temple or something. But because we've already finished Spirit Temple, we just use it as like a quick way out. And now we're gonna make our way over to Deku Tree. That is the last dungeon of this game. And we're still not out of the neck of the woods yet, because there are still some scary sections for endgame. So we'll just have to see if that all goes well. I hope it goes well, but you never know with this game sometimes. It can just troll you out of the blue and you're like, okay, I wasn't expecting that, but sure. So to get inside Deku Tree, it's actually a little bit involved because as adult Link, Deku Tree has got his mouth clamped shut. So you have to find a little bit more of an elaborate way to get in to his mouth. There's a few ways you can do it. I'm gonna opt for this way coming up here. Yeah, it's just personal preference. All right, let's see. I can equip Deku Nuts here, actually. So roll onto this section. Okay. Cool, so we climb onto this section, and this kind of partially loads the area. So now we've kind of we don't do Spirit Hover in this one, Rally. And now we're inside Deku Tree, because his model didn't completely load, so we got past it and into his mouth. You can actually do it like another way, like I said. It's just I don't prefer that method, so yeah. Safety save in here. I need some more Deku Nuts against Goma. Cool. Hyper-extended Steven slide. Yeah, Spirit Temple actually went alright, Ral. It was a bit slow because I was pause buffering like to Timbuktu and back, but other than that, I think Spirit Temple went fairly well. Okay, so we're gonna skip past here. Cool. Oh no, that's all good, Rally. That was yesterday, buddy. Cool beans. I'm just gonna swap this equip around ever so slightly. So we did a clip there to skip having to go through all of the Deku Tree, and now we are Gomering. Goma fight, nothing too out of the ordinary for this one. I like to think nothing too out of the ordinary for this one, but it's a marathon, you never know what the hell happens. So this is just a personal thing. I always do C up there right before I go into Goma, because I find that it just helps recenter my camera a little bit. You cubing on the side. Oh yeah, in case anyone's wondering, I have a Rubik's Cube that I muck around with on the side when I'm just idle and want to keep my fingers a bit warm. That's what the clickety clack was. Let's see. Hang on. Yeah. Hang on. Wrong equip. Slight fumble, but nothing too catastrophic. Yo, Astri, what's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Okay, so let's see if I can pull this off. Oopsies. Did I lose ISG? I should be able to get it off this bush. Cool. Slight dung goof there, but nothing too catastrophic, I hope. Good. I actually need to equip Deku nuts again, so this pause is necessary. I'll buff it to the frame. Because I'm scared. Okay, so we're doing this so we can unload the we can void out, and then the big door slab disappears. That was pretty much the whole reason why we did that. Otherwise, we'd have to save, reset, come back, do 2, 3, 1, skip again, and it's a little bit slower than what I just did. But given how long it took me to do it, it probably would have been about the same speed, Kappa. Okay, so now we're gonna hopefully pull this one off too. That's fine. So hopefully this works. Please work. Phew, all right. So one last bit to go, and then we're Gucci. So I'm just gonna do some equips here. All right. I'm just gonna take this semi-safe as well. I should start skipping to the left, and then I go straight back. And then now I can side hop left. Alright, good. That actually went a lot better than what I thought. Because in my PV pace run I had a couple of days ago, I screwed this section up like so hard. And I was just like, oh no. But we have since done some practice, so, you know. Oh, I didn't even get the setup for the kiss. I'm that bad at this game. Oh, we didn't even. I attempted to do the setup and I still screwed it up, Kappa. So what I did there inside of Ganon's castle, that was to skip the collapse sequence, because the collapse sequence is, whoops, the collapse sequence is actually fairly long, to say the least. I got absolutely rejected. Yeah. Zelda was not having any of our stuff. Okay, I've got bombs, so like yesterday, just gonna super slide into this cutscene because that way I'm able to keep my Master Sword throughout this fight. Otherwise, it's a little bit more involved and a little bit annoying, to say the least. But it's okay because I have hammer, so it's not a big deal if I let go of it here. But it's just a little bit faster to have your Master Sword out with you at this point in time. Rejected. Absolutely bodied. Zelda was like, I don't want anything to do with you, mate. And you're like, oh, okay, fine. Hey, Lou, welcome back, man. Alright, so this fight is a little bit scary too, because, well, I got an extra heart, but I'm not on full health, so less RNG. So far, okay. Alright, so that's first phase. And now second phase, which is definitely way more scary because she can hit you pretty hard. and if I got hit now, I would be dead. Just gonna back up a tiny bit. That actually went pretty decent, surprisingly. Time's coming up real soon, so I will let you guys know when it's time, and we'll go from there.
Sure.
Oh, so this has been Reverse Dungeon Order, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the run, and yeah. So time. Whoa.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. What was the final time, out of curiosity?
It was 1:49 and 5 seconds.
Oh my goodness. Believe it or not, guys, that's actually PB as well. I PB by like 20 seconds. That was... I screwed up a lot in that run. I had a massive... There were some parts I had a massive lead and I screwed it up, but for a marathon run, playing it safe, I'm actually not too upset that we PB'd with this, so... There you go. Yeah, if you have any other questions, just drop them in chat. Otherwise, yeah, thanks, fam. That was fun. And thank you again, Charlie, for hosting the session.
Thank you. I do have just one last donation to read out.
Go for it.
We have a donation of $55.20 from Chili Pepper saying, "Ooh. Mikami running for charity? What a hero. Good luck with the run and with raising the funds for a great cause." Thank you, Chili Pepper.
Thanks, Chili Pepper. And thank you once again, ASM, for allowing me to do this run. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you have any parting words, I hope more of you will come out to Aussie speedrun events when they're in person again, and just come hang out with us, honestly. And with that, I hope you all have a good rest of the marathon. Definitely stick around for this next run. Peking's run is like gonna be insane to watch, so thanks again.